GramacTalks. Be the light that guides, the courage that explores.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to GramacTalks. Today's episode is centered on something very important: care for cerebral palsy. And if you've heard my podcast or previous episodes, you would know that this is a topic that is often misunderstood. It's sometimes overlooked, but it's deeply important for those like me who live with it. And not only for people who live with CP, and it's also for those who care for someone who does. And if you see me reading, I'm just scrolling through some of the points I want to make. But first, let me begin with a simple truth. Not all of cerebral palsy look the same. And I got a couple of articles I'm going to read. They're short ones, but according to this article by the Cerebral Palsy Foundation, a life with severe CP might need lifelong care, while a person with mild CP may live more independently. CP does not worsen over time, though symptoms may change. And this statement alone helps us understand something important. It's that cerebral palsy is not a one-size-fits-all condition, and every person's experience is different. In my case, I use a power wheelchair to get around. I might need help with feeding and other personal care. But I've been blessed with, a good mind, I like to tell myself. And I've been blessed with the ability to reason, whereas in some cases, like I said, it varies. I know someone who has mild CP, and you can't really tell that much. I mean, unless you get, to know him more, and, kind of see that he also deals with some challenges. And I have other friends with severe CP, in those cases they need someone with them 24 hours, feeding them, whether that be through G-tube, some people can't be fed mouth to mouth, so they require other forms of care, and it just depends on the body and what kind of CP your body has. I mean, we've all seen all bodies are different motto, slogan. We say that whenever we go to the mall now, and CP is no exception. All bodies are different. And CP is different, just like everyone's bodies are different. And I want to read this other article. It's called What is CP? And this is from the CDC, so the Centers for the Disease Control and Prevention. And it says, cerebral palsy affects a person's ability to move and maintain balance and posture. This is simple but powerful, because behind that definition is a lifetime of adaptation, resilience, and care. And in my own life, I mostly use a power wheelchair to move around. I mean, I'm trying to work on my motor balance. I mean, I go to the gym whenever I can. I take walks. I try to take walks every morning. Although right now the weather's been a little crazy and it's, it gets hot outside. And when that happens, I usually box in my garage and I like to get a little cardio going. And honestly, living life in a wheelchair has changed everything for me. Okay. And we see that when I was younger, I relied on others to move me around. I used to have a stroller. In fact, I still have a stroller for when I have to take, trips out of town, out of state, because obviously the power wheelchair is too heavy for airplanes. So I use a stroller to get around and travel. But, I've been really blessed to have a power wheelchair here in this country because I can move independently. I can move wherever I want. I can explore and I can engage with the world and with people on my own terms. And in a way, it's freedom. I remember sometimes in my high school they used to call me the speed racer because I like going fast. I'm not really slow. I don't like going slow. I go slow like when I'm in a public service setting or like if I'm at university. But when I'm quote unquote off-roading or I'm on my own, I like to speed a little bit and pretend I'm in like Top Gun or something. But I'm getting a little off topic here. I just wanted to rant. But there's actually a moment in scripture where Jesus tells Peter that when he was younger, he could go wherever he wanted, but later others would guide him. And in my case, it's almost the opposite. But as I've grown over the years, I've gained more independence in certain areas of my life. And that's something I don't take for granted. And I want to make it clear that independence doesn't necessarily mean you have to do everything alone. And that's where care comes in. And this is my second point for parents with, who have their kids who might have a disability, or for caregivers or nurses. According to this article by Mayo Clinic, care often includes a combination of therapies, medical support, and daily assistance tailored to the individual's needs. And the word tailored here matters, because care isn't just about helping, it's also about understanding those with disabilities. And of course, for many individuals with CP, it varies. Care could include, like I mentioned, assistance with daily tasks like eating, dressing, or hygiene. So, like for me, I would need these things. I would need someone to, feed me, to help me get dressed, and to brush my teeth, to take care of this awesome beard. If you're listening, I'm trying out this new look. I like John. I like John Cooper from Skillet. So he has an awesome beard. And he actually has a podcast too. It's called Cooper Stuff. And I listen to his podcast whenever I get the chance. And this has nothing to do with the topic. I'm just saying I like his beard, and I think he's cool. But going back to assistance, monitoring health conditions like seizures or respiratory issues is also, something you need to check, especially if you're in the medical profession. Especially if you're in a medical profession or in the medical field, you should check if the person you're taking care of doesn't have seizures or respiratory issues, or if they do, how to deal with them or how to treat these issues. And I'm not a medical professional by any means. Fortunately, I don't have seizures. But there are some people who do have them. And then, in each case, if you don't know what to do, it's best to call the, nearest medical assistance as soon as possible, because that person may need serious help. And sometimes the best thing we can do is call for help. And of course, providing emotional support and encouragement. People may not know this, but sometimes we get lonely. I include myself, because sometimes we just want to, be friends with people. I talked about this in a previous episode. And just because we have certain certain abilities doesn't make us different from other people. We want to be included in society, not excluded. And a lot of people don't know how to speak to someone with disabilities. And if you don't know how to engage them, or you might find it awkward, the best thing you could do is just be with them. Just get near to them and listen to them. That's it. Just be there for them and include them with you. Like include them in your friend groups because everyone's dealing with something, and most people don't realize that, and they think, or honestly, I don't know. I don't know why people don't see us like society, and it's wrong, and that's maybe why I wanted to start this podcast too. I want to normalize people with disabilities. Just because we have a disability doesn't mean that we're any different from people who don't have a physical disabilities. And honestly, we just want to build connections, just like anyone. We want to build connections, we want to build friendships, and we want to be included. And of course, behind caring for someone with disabilities are people, parents, family members, caregivers, nurses, people who show up every day with patience, compassion, and dedication. That kind of care is not easy, but it is powerful. And I think it's important to say this clearly, that receiving care does not diminish a person's dignity. Let me repeat that. Receiving care does not diminish a person's dignity. It does not make someone less independent. It doesn't make someone less valuable. If anything, it reveals something deeper about humanity. That we were never meant to do life alone. And that includes people with disabilities. Care at its best is not about limitation. Rather, it's about supporting someone so they can live fully. So, whether you're someone living with cerebral palsy or someone caring for a loved one, I want to encourage you with this. Your role matters. Your journey matters. And your story matters. because even in the challenges, there is growth. Even in the dependence, there is strength. And even in the need for care, there is purpose. And if you'd like to learn more about this topic and my personal journey, you can find it in my memoir, This Ability, My Experience with Cerebral Palsy, where I go deeper into independence, advocacy, and daily life. And I'll put a link to my memoir in both this episode on Spotify and YouTube. And I want to close this episode by saying thank you for joining me today. And I want to thank every, like I said, the health professionals, the caregivers, the parents of people with special needs who have gone out of their way to help their kids or their loved ones. There's a passage in scripture that Jesus says that, even if you give a cup of cold water to my little ones, you're giving it for me. And it's applies whether they're religious or not. Your deed counts. Whether how small or how insignificant it may seem at the moment, you have eternal and profound impact. So, again, your life matters. Our lives matter. And we each have a purpose in life. And I encourage you to find that purpose today. Remember, be the light that guides, the courage that explores, and the faith that endures. This has been GramacTalks, and we will see you next time.
GramacTalks. This is where the brave minds go.